not support in order to achieve that goal?
At this point, next to nothing. I think the Americans are very close to an actual hot war.
Okay, well then at least
an actual civil war.
Because I don't want to get Whick demonetized, but
there's already dead people in the streets, for fuck's sake. The Americans are there.
You accused me of moral F-slurring when I called Pisco a tyrant and said I was trying to save my country. I think at this point, since you've said that there is basically nothing that you would not support in order to punish the Republicans, we can at least agree that to the extent that you and Pisco share the same positions, I was correct in saying that this is an overtly tyrannical position.
So this is Ryan Mullally. He debated Dev. And this is where the left revealed their tyranny. So I've been wanting to watch this. Here we go.
Our republic and the resilience of the people and our Constitution. But if we are where you say we are, which is a crazy thing to say publicly, but if we are where you say we are, then why complain about norm violations at all? Like what's a norm if we're at the black pill end zone of the end times, where people are just going to be doing open partisan warfare with no limits forever? Who gives a fuck about norms at that point? Why shouldn't the Republicans do all these things I've outlined? Because they have political power right now. Like, if only for expediency, if only for your own self-preservation, isn't it kind of dumb to say that publicly? Because if the Republicans believed you, if the Republicans believed the thing you just said, then it would be totally rational for them to do the most tyrannical, diabolical things imaginable. And there's all the Democrats can do about it. They have no power to stop it. So I guess I'm saying, what is the point you're making here? Like, you seem to be advocating for the Republicans to do the thing that you hope they don't do.
Well, no, I'm not advocating for that, because the Republicans are bad and the Democrats are good. The Democrats should take power back and do the right thing. Okay. The Republicans shouldn't. But hold on, this
holy cow, is he being serious? Like, that's what we say to point out. Like, that's what we say that the left thinks, is that, oh yeah, Republicans bad, Democrats good. But he's saying it out loud. I've never expected one of them just to say it out loud. That's insane.
This is a moral argument. I mentioned legality before specifically because, yes, the Republicans can do all these things, and it would be rational for them in their position to do all these things. But I don't need to care about what's rational for the Republican position, because the Republicans are moral lepers. So they do simply need to be crushed. That's that.
So yes. Your position is simply rule for thee, not for me. That's what your position boils down to?
I mean, in the way that an aggressor shouldn't be using violence, but a defender should, yes.
Okay. Well, if your position is that the Democrats get to be tyrannical because Republicans bad, but the Republicans ought not be tyrannical because Republicans bad, which seems to be your position, you might see why I called that tyrannical during modern day debate. By the way, I appreciate the candor. I think that is the position. I think Pisco's too chicken to admit it, but that is the position. And
yeah, exactly. At least Dev's being honest. All these left-wingers like to pussyfoot around it and try to tiptoe and not say it out loud. They pretty much say everything but that out loud, which is Republicans bad, Democrats good. Therefore, it's okay when Democrats do it. It's bad when Republicans do it. But so listen, it's terrible. It's horrible, but at least he's being honest and saying it.
Appreciate you being honest about it, but that's why I called it tyrannical on modern day debate, because it is an overt call to tyrannical imposition of power.
Destiny cloaks it a little bit. Holy, Destiny cloaks it. He's usually the wild one. He's usually the one that has to be cloaked for, like that Pisco clip where it's like, you don't have to answer that, Destiny. You don't have to answer that. He's usually the one that has to be cloaked for. That's crazy that this is so bad that Destiny had to be the cloaker
of one side against the other. And I actually don't even hear you disagreeing with that. I think you agree with that. It's just you think it's good to do tyrannical things.
It's tyrannical in the sense that the American revolutionaries were tyrannical against the British when they threw them off.
Okay. So that's a wild statement, but your point is,
it's absolutely okay. You're an educated man. I'm sure you've read the Constitution. I'm sure you've read at least some of the Federalist Papers, right?
There's a good chance.
Of course, yes. Now, what was the purpose of the Second Amendment?
You don't need to go to the Second Amendment. Go to the Declaration. It's better.
No. I'm going to the Second Amendment because I actually like this one. Because you know what? I've hung out in so many libertarian spaces, and during COVID and even before, you had like these memes, and it was like George Washington wearing sunglasses, and he's like, if it were me and my homies, we'd be stacking bodies right by now. And I totally respected those memes because they were honest and straightforward, and they made no qualms about it. The Second Amendment is for shooting tyrants.
Yeah, no,
that's what it's for.
That's why I say you don't need to go to the Second Amendment. You go to the Declaration. It says, to secure these rights, meaning our natural rights, our God-given rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So there's, right. It does go on to say,
and I just want to make it clear, we've taken a little bit of a turn from court packing, and now we have entered another territory. If you guys want to continue in this territory, we can.
I actually think this is illuminating, because I think people who watch my stream know why I did what I did in the modern day debate, but I think this is actually a good explanation of why I did what I did in the modern day debate and with Peace Code, because the reason is, when somebody approaches you and says, I think I am justified in imposing tyrannical power upon you, the correct response is not, let me see your syllogism. Let's talk about your argument. The correct response is, get tyrant, right? There, it is not logical to engage in logical debate with somebody who wants to tyrannize you. And Deb, I appreciate your honesty, but all I'm hearing from you is that you feel justified in tyrannizing people who believe the things that I believe.
No, the issue is that Trump is the tyrant. He is the one currently doing the tyranny. Yes.
Yeah, says you.
Says me. I'm correct.
Well, okay, but here's
I'm correct. No one has been able to demonstrate how Trump is a tyrant. I wish Trump was more of a tyrant. I wish he was more of I wish he was just at least as tyrannical as the Democrats were, or are, I should say. I wish he was as tyrannical as them. I wish. We need a tyrant like the Democrats, but just the ones that agree with us. That's what we need. The ones that use their powers for the right thing, and not for transing kids or trying to take away our free speech and all that bullshit. Locking us down, forcing us to get vaccines, just taking tax dollars money to enrich themselves and whatever special group that they want to privilege for.
Let me put this way. We both agree.
Oh, let that go for a minute. Let that go for a minute.
Yeah, we both agree Trump tried to steal 2020, right? Like, that's not in debate at all. We both agree on this.
Yeah, I've never defended Trump with the false light of electors scheme. I've in fact,
right, yeah.
Actually, do you know my voting history? It might be helpful.
Yeah, I think I know.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen a bunch of your stuff.
Yeah, I vastly preferred Trump in 2024, but did not vote for him because of the Eastman stuff.
Right. So that makes him a tyrant. Period. Like, we're already past.
He didn't try to steal the election. He just didn't. All right.
Past that line. He tried to steal an election. He failed, but now he's a tyrant.
Well, you
can't be like, oh no, he's not. Oh, it's just it's subjective. Oh, it's just your opinion. No. He's a tyrant.
I agree.
He's trying to steal the election.
I found that disqualifying. But do you disagree that he was validly elected in 2024?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so he was validly elected in 2024.
The Americans elected a tyrant. Yes.
Okay, I have not seen him do anything in this term that remotely approaches the level of tyranny of the prescriptions that you're describing. Not even close. So,
go ahead now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, not even. I don't think I've seen any. Keep in mind what
So hold on, just real quick, because now we're getting into the conversation you didn't actually want to have on Twitter. You dodged it like 5 times when I said let's talk about Trump's corruption, because
are corruption and tyranny the same thing?
No, but they're linked for sure.
No, they're for sure. They're actually rather distinct.
Okay. Do you think that there are tyrants who are completely incorruptible? They go hand in hand.
It is possible. It's not. They are not logically entailed or related. I think
Can you
I
name
think,
one?
I think they are often correlated. No, I'd agree with you. They're often correlated. My point is they are not the same thing. You could be tyrannical without being corrupt.
Can you name an example of this?
So Dev's a Canadian? Why do we care what he has to say then? Jeez. It's like the worst when you try to debate with these libs that are from like Canada or for some other country. It's like, oh, wait, what? Wait, what? Why do we care about what you have to say again? Exactly.
It's ever happening?
Probably not. I mean, I think it's unlikely, but my point is they are not the same thing. And I think you'd agree with that.
Just for my edification, would you say that lots of corruption might be a sign that someone might be a tyrant? Like that could be something like, oh, there's a ton of corruption here. Maybe we should look into whether this is a tyrant or not.
No, not really. I mean,
No?
it would depend on what it depends on what they're doing with power. Like in the Teapot Dome scandal with Harding, like back in the day, right? There were obvious bribes. That was proven that there were bribes, and those bribes were used to secure, to use the power of the federal government to benefit private individuals. It was like case proven corruption, like proven at like a level of a court standard corruption. I don't think that Harding was being tyrannical or that his subordinates were being tyrannical. I think they were being corrupt. They are different things.
The issue is, and I'm coming at this from my realm of education because I was working on a political history degree before dropping out to do YouTube. In fact, it was a master's degree. But so from what I understand of history, is that when you have corrupt politicians, corrupt leaders, that is inherently tyrannical, specifically because when they engage in their corruption, they are overriding certain, we might call them democratic or public, not just norms, but mechanisms, right? So for example, the free market should function such that you have like buyers and sellers, you have contracts, you have bidders. And however, if you're in power and you're giving preferential contracts to your friends, for example, and you're not having an open bid on those contracts, that is both being corrupt because you're benefiting your friends, and it's being tyrannical because you're undermining these public institutions. So these two things actually do historically go hand in hand. And Trump, by the way, is the most corrupt president of my lifetime, and it's not even close.
But pause. See, the reason that I think there's a huge disconnect here.
Gosh, TDS much?
Is you could have a administration that's rife with corruption, and they do nothing to change the way democracy functions. They do nothing to change the way the vote works, and then they eventually get voted out of power. They're not tyrannical, they're corrupt. When you're tyrannical, it means that you are removing from the people the ability to govern themselves, right? That's what tyrannical is. I haven't seen the Trump administration do anything that remotely reaches the level of tyranny that you've described. The thing that I would agree with you that approaches this is the Eastman scheme, which is why I didn't vote for him. But in terms of this current administration, this time around, I have not seen anything like that. And because he's a second-term president, I don't think that's going to happen again. But by the way, if it does, you can rely on me showing up, breaking party lines, and being on your side because I am opposed to tyranny. So, but the fact that I guess the point I'm making is how could you possibly justify the level of tyranny you're talking about? And I've seen this very commonly on the left.
Yeah.
Like people are. I remember I watched a Destiny stream. And I was aghast where he said like the problem with the Trump administration is that they won the vote and they are legitimately elected, which is worse than Nazi Germany. Because at least in Nazi Germany, you could say that there was some kind of power grab. Here, the problem is that they got elected, and we need to find a way to punish them, even if it's not legal to do so.
I
just want to clarify. That's not what Destiny said, okay? Now, can we stick to the prompt and not bring up Destiny? Or else I'm going to have to summon him over here, okay? Papa Destiny.
housekeeping thing. I need to check my audio. People are saying I'm blowing them out when I talk.
Okay.
How is it, gang? Okay, sorry. Go. I didn't mean, but everyone's yelling at me at this point. So go ahead.
Okay. I hope that's improved. Yeah. I guess so. Again, to circle back to the court packing topic, like if the point was that the Republicans did this thing with Garland and that was fucked up, so we should do the same thing back. I wouldn't even think I'd even take that debate prompt. I think I'd have to concede that one. Like, I think, yeah, that probably would happen. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about something totally different.
So just that was very long and
What the heck? What's the freaking Whick doing down there? Is he chatting with someone down there? Chatting it up with someone on AIM? Yes. ASL? What's your ASL?
there's like three
Are you into cat roleplay?
distinct topics in there, and I really only have the third one still in my brain. Sorry. So you're basically saying that just so I know, I understand what you said. You're saying that should the Democrats come into power and they hold the Senate, but it's still a Republican president, they should simply not vote on a new Supreme Court justice in the same way that McConnell did.
Yeah, I mean,
basically give them a taste of their own medicine.
Would it piss me off? Would I be like, that's bad? Yeah, it would piss me off. I'd say that's bad, but like I think they're justified in doing it. I think the norm's been broken, and the thing about that, like, which is withholding advice and consent, is like the constitutional framework, is that it doesn't create open-ended court packing. Like, the real danger of adding to the court is, let's say you guys pack to 13, and let's say you keep the Republicans out of power for like 20 years. When the Republicans get back in, they're going to pack to 20. And then when the Democrats get back in, they're going to repack. And when you do that 3, 4, 5 times, the entire concept of the rule of law, the entire concept of there being a governing constitution is basically gone. Like, we're washing out the very fact that we have a constitution at all. And we're basically leaning into this glaring loophole where we can amend the Constitution from the bench in a way that we don't have political will to do through the proper amendment process. So I think that's very, very dangerous. But yeah, to answer your question, if the Democrats withheld advice and consent from a Republican nominee for purely political reasons, I don't think that would. I think that the toothpaste is out of the tube on that one, as it were.
Okay. The issue is that it's no longer just about the one McConnell seat, because there's since been a downstream effect that's happened ever since then, right? So if you're okay with the Democrats refusing to vote on a single hypothetical seat, would you be okay with the Democrats refusing to vote on let's say 2 hypothetical seats?
Oh no,
or 3 hypothetical seats.
I go further. I don't think that norm exists anymore. I think that we can and should expect that if the president does not have the Senate, that neither party in the foreseeable future is granting advice and consent. Like, I don't think it's happening in the future. Maybe if it was like a really down the middle justice, it might happen. It is possible, but I think it is very likely that if the Democrats take the Senate in the midterms and Trump has a nominee, they will say off and they will not nominate. They will not give advice and consent on that nominee. I think that is now the status quo. I think and again, it would piss me off, and I'd say I'd be pissed off about it, but I would like turnabout is fair play and all. I don't think the Democrats would be unjustified doing that.
Why would you be pissed off about it?
Because I'm not politically neutral. I'd like my side to win. I like originalist judges. I like Federalist Society judges. I'd like more of them on the court. Like, I think the country's better off with that kind of court. So yeah, it would piss me off politically, but it's not going to be the kind of norm violation that I'm saying is like risking the country. It would be sharp elbowed, borderline politics, but like, it's sharp elbowed, borderline politics is kind of the name of the game. It's kind of like partisan gerrymandering. Like, in the abstract, I don't like partisan gerrymandering, but at this point, I get why both parties are doing it.
Real quick, thank you for the raid, Destiny. Welcome to the stream. Anyway, continue.
Thank you for the raid, Destiny. Yes, Destiny is watching, so you better watch yourself, Ryan, okay?
Were you still going?
Whick just up the conversation. Man, these people are the worst moderators, dude. The worst moderators. I think he's doing that like intentionally.
No, all yours.
Oh, okay. I mean,
good job, Destiny. I totally derailed the conversation.
I I do find it kind of surprising that you would be surprised that I also want my side to win then. Especially since, by the way, like until Trump pulled that stunt in 2020, I was not a partisan Democrat supporter. Like I first came to prominence on YouTube in the very small way that I came to prominence, being an anti-SJW, being an associate of Sargon's, talking about cultural issues, and I still don't like woke shit in video games and all that. But you know what? I will take all the woke shit in video games in the world if it means that Trump and MAGA have been purged from the Republican Party. Because
holy crap. I don't know, man. I didn't think there could get any worse TDS than Brian Shapiro, but holy crap. Then we have Dev.
You know what? Cultural issues aren't the same thing as political.
So what are the limits you place on yourself? Like what
Yeah, what limits are you willing to push?
Would you not support in order to achieve that goal?
At this point, next to nothing. I think the Americans are very close to an actual hot war.
Okay, well then at least
an actual civil war.
Because I don't want to get Whick demonetized, but
there's already dead people in the streets, for fuck's sake. The Americans are there.
You accused me of moral F slurring when I called Pisco a tyrant and said I was trying to save my country. I think at this point, since you've said that there is basically nothing that you would not support in order to punish the Republicans, we can at least agree that to the extent that you and Pisco share the same positions, I was correct in saying that this is an overtly tyrannical position, which is probably why I was moral F-slurring, as you put it, in the face of overt tyranny.
Can I ask Dev a question on that?
If you think just real quick, you keep saying it's tyrannical.
It's obviously not tyrannical.
It's not. It's overthrowing a tyrant. Violence is not inherently tyrannical. All right. When you're actually fighting a pure evil faction, which, by the way, is what MAGA has become. Yeah, when you actually start fighting them and you're like, oh, it's actually a war now. We got to fight. That's not tyrannical. That's war.
Okay. Now I have a question, though.
Man, that's just absolutely diabolical. I was listening to Rob's stream earlier, and he was questioning, like what happened to Dev? Like, he seemed like a pretty reasonable guy at first, but now how did he turn into this, where he's like justifying violence because he believes at a war? But what does happen? Like, what makes a person believe this? Like, what makes a person really believe this? That, okay, yes, violence is justified because they really believe that, like, MAGA is so evil. Like, how do we get here? That MAGA is so evil that doing violence, it's fighting tyranny now, and it's justified because you're fighting against an evil, tyrannical party. Like, how does one get to that point? The TDS, like, seriously, I mean, look, I know I've said, like, the media pushes a lot of the anti-Trump narrative, and that's why TDS is a thing now, because people have been brainwashed into believing Trump is the worst human being to ever have lived. But man, even like that amount of propaganda, like, how do you still get to Dev here in this thinking where it's like, yes, violence, yes, justified because you're fighting tyranny? Like, holy crap. Meanwhile, look at Whick doing a Nazi salute. Whick, huh? Do we have to cancel Whick now? Huh? Doing the Roman salute, if you will. Whick, what are you doing?
I bet you do,
okay.
Whick.
So if you think that we are at this point in America, would it be morally justified? I'm just asking, are you being...
Dude, look at Ryan. Ryan's sitting there like, holy shit, what is going on here? And again, around the Destiny circles, like, what's going on? This is exactly what's going on in the Destiny circles here, where even Destiny's own mod came up to him and was like, yeah, look, there's a lot of people in the Discord that are giving off like school shooter vibes. And so I'm just telling you that you have kind of an issue within your own community right now. Yeah, I would say so. What is going on in this freaking community here where they're all a bunch of unhinged, violent lunatics?
Rhetorical, or do you actually believe we are about to go to civil war? Would political assassinations be morally justified at this point?
Do you value your channel?
Okay, that's all I need to know. Okay, carry on.
Holy crap. Holy crap. What is going on over there? Why are they all so psychopathic and unhinged? There's a bunch of screw loose. Screw loose is here. How much do you value your channel? Oh, right. Yep. Say no more. Okay. Say no more. I do value the Whick TV channel. So please do not say anything, Dev.
Well, so I mean, so
I don't want to fuck you over, Whick. Like, what do you want me to say?
yeah. So look, here's the thing. I'm obviously not going to convince Dev, and I'm certainly not going to try, given what he just said. But if you're watching this conversation and you're like, why did Ryan react the way he did to Pisco's positions? That seems unlike him. He doesn't normally take that tone with people. What was Ryan doing? Why did he have that reaction? Look at this conversation and really think about what's being said here tonight.
Yeah.
And think to yourself, does that really sound like a sane position? Or maybe ought we say that? That does sound a bit on the tyrannical side, saying that there is no limit on what I would do to punish the opposition. That does seem like a little bit of a problem.
Just to be clear, Pisco's not here, and he can answer for himself, but I'm pretty sure Pisco does not hold the position that Dev just elucidated. I'm almost certain. I could be wrong.
No, I mean, this conversation started by me asking why. How could you possibly justify holding a set of positions I described as overtly tyrannical? Dev has explained that the reason he holds these positions is because the Republicans are so evil that nothing is off the table and overt tyranny is included within that. And look,
the Republicans are tyrannical. That's what's actually okay.
Pisco said the same thing. He said at the end, like, what? The Republicans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice try, Whick. Yeah, nice try, Whick. All right, you may be an owner of many cloaks that do special things, but you can't cloak this one. All right, but nice try.
These are barbarians. Nothing's off limit for them. He used the same rhetoric at the end. He's cannier
because
about it. He's savvier than Dev is. He's not willing to box himself in the way Dev just did. But it's the same.
Well, I haven't boxed myself in at all. I've been saying this for Whick. You've known me for a while now. How, at least a year? Maybe
a little more than that. But go ahead.
I've known you for years, but I've been saying this for at least a year now. That the Republicans are just tyrannical and need to be.
Yes, but I don't think I've heard you elucidate like what is, because I guess for me, simply because something's tyrannical, it doesn't mean that all things are now permissible to do, right?
What? Whick says that? Isn't Whick like, oh yes, it's your moral duty. Repent. It's your moral duty to attack ICE officers. Wasn't that what he was saying a few months ago against Rob? Now he's like, doesn't mean all things are permissible. What are you talking about?
Tyranny is a spectrum. And I hate to do that.
It's a spectrum.
There are different sets of tyranny. There are different levels of tyranny. And tyranny can be responded to and fixed in a variety of ways, depending on the situation. I'm just going to be real with you. I 100% disagree with you in the strongest possible terms that we are in a situation where a hot war would be justified in America. We are just not anywhere. We are not even in the same solar system yet.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I mean, look, I'm not saying that I'm like necessarily the representative or represent anyone other than me and my small community, but the idea that there would be no limiting principles, that someone asks you, what are your limiting principles? And your answer is none. That's crazy. That's a crazy position. Because if there's no limiting principles, then that actually is civil war. That's war in the streets. That's state seceding. That's Civil War 2.0. Because if we're not going to have any principles that guide or limit our behavior, then yeah, we're at the end of the line. But I certainly don't think we're there yet. And if you ask me that same question, there are many limits that I have in terms of like my ability to support the right. And some of which I've articulated here tonight. So anyway, I find that position truly wild and odd also because like even when I talk to people that I'm sure you hate, like a Rob Knorr or an Andrew Wilson or like an Orange Schreier, like they have limits on when they're going to support the right. They might not be limits that you appreciate, but they certainly have limits about what they would do and what they think is justified and what would be the end of the road for them. So I just the idea that you're giving an open-ended check to the Democrats to do literally anything because you think the right is so evil. I don't think that's a justifiable position, and
Well,
I hope to God
clear,
that the audience
just to be clear.
Just,
Hey, you're getting a raid, Crucible raid? Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah, brother. Thank you very much, Andrew Wilson and the Crucible. I appreciate it greatly. That is awesome. Good to see you guys in here. You may have been watching Ryan Mullally with Andrew. Well, now we're watching his debate against Dev, where pretty much Dev is admitting that, well, Republicans good, Republicans bad, Democrats good. Therefore, it's okay to do whatever we got to do. They got to do to fight us. It's insane. It's been absolutely insane saying the quiet part out loud.
recoiling in horror at the fact that you said that, they should.
So just to be clear, it's not simply that because the Republicans are evil, though they're quite evil right now. It's that the Republicans are tyrants. It's the same standard that you have. When you were talking to Pisco, you were talking about tyranny. You were talking about how you thought that Pisco was coming for your country and things are never going to be the same again. That is how I feel about the Republicans. And the difference between you and I is that I'm factually correct. I am more in line with the objective reality because
I like it when they just declare themselves factually correct. Yeah. Trump's a tyrant. Republicans are tyrants. MAGA is tyrants. They're tyrannical. Therefore, it's okay to do whatever we got to do to take them out. Yeah. He's factually correct there, guys. Yeah. He just grants himself that. I'm factually correct. Yeah, like how does someone get to this point?
Republicans do, in fact, violate norms and laws and boundaries and the Constitution constantly. The Republicans did, in fact, try to steal an election. The Democrats didn't. The reason I gave these two sides different weight is because the Republicans are actually worse.
Okay, but the point here is I asked Pisco and I asked you whether you would support a set of positions that was overtly tyrannical and would lock the other side out of power. You both said yes.
They're not tyrannical.
If you think that
you keep saying that, but it's not true. They're not tyrannical.
Well, Dev, to be totally honest with you, given that you have voiced support for political violence and open warfare, why on earth would I take your view of what an is and is not tyrannical into account? You don't really seem to have a lot of respect for the norms you're trying to preserve.
No, do you think that political violence and tyranny go hand in hand all the time?
Dev, that isn't remotely related to what I just said.
It is a direct response to what you just said.
Then steel man my position, please.
Just real quick. How was your country founded? It was founded on political violence.
So steel man my position, please.
So to sit here and say like, oh, because you support political violence, you'd have no idea what tyranny is. Those two things are completely unrelated. That is a completely statement to make. You can absolutely listen to me. You can absolutely be anti-tyranny to want to see tyrants removed from the White House, in fact, and still ultimately be pro-political violence, because sometimes that's what you have to do to get rid of them.
That was great. Can you steel man my position, please?
No.
Nice.
All right. Well, then that probably explains why you don't understand it.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Say it again. I will actually give it a good faith shot. Go ahead.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, can you steal my position? No. That's okay. Like, I hope the audience
listen. I was being snarky. I'll give
you a second
chance. Say it again, and I will steal.
You'll give me a second chance. Okay.
Give me a second. Give me a second chance.
Generous of you, Dev. Very, very generous of you.
I'm a very generous person.
Yeah,
yes.
You are supporting a set of propositions which is so overtly tyrannical and norm violent.
Not tyrannical, by the way. Stop saying that.
Okay, let him.
I don't know if you've done a breakdown of the Bryce Shep and Not So Erudite interview yet. We watched last night. It was like, this is going to be fun when we watch it with Vic. I've covered that one like after it came out, which was a few months ago, because I think that interview happened before the Rachel Wilson debate with Bryce Shep. Unless it just happened, because I know she was just on recently with this other woman promoting their Take Back America tour. So yeah, I think I already covered it. It's on my channel. Check back a few weeks ago.
Let him finish, Dev, and then you can respond.
If the Republicans did them, and I'm not even talking about the open assassination now, but we can add that to the list since you've advocated for it, you would be aghast at how horrible and immoral they are. your only justification for this is the Republicans are so bad, they deserve it. There is no way to have a rational conversation about civil discourse with somebody who is calling for your blood in the streets. Like, what are we supposed to talk about, Dev?
Hold on, I'm not calling for your blood.
Like, it's wild because they'll say things like this. Like, they'll say things like this, like, yep, it's justified if we do violence against you guys because you guys are bad. And then when we say, oh, wow, the left is actually more violent between both sides, and then they're like, no, both sides commit violence. But then they'll say shit like this.
You think I'm not going to vote right in the midterms?
I'm not calling to shoot Republican voters. What did you misunderstand?
Be very, very careful. Okay, come on. I do value my channel, so let's
yeah,
let's
Ryan. That was a very slick sleight of hand there. I never once said shoot all Republicans.
Pause.
I never once said no.
I never once asked you what your limiting principles were, and you said none.
Okay, here. I thought maybe this was baked into it.
No, it's not baked into it.
Then hear me out. Hear me out. Limiting principles in regards to the people who actually committed the crimes, not just the random schmucks and idiots who voted right wing. Those people, they're either innocent or they're ideologically captured. Some of them are going to be evil, but for the most part, they're just decent people who are wrong.
Okay, so you're pro lining all the Republican politicians against the wall and getting the firing squad out.
Well, no, to be clear, he said anyone who is, in his view, committed one of these crimes.
Okay,
which,
so
can you be specific, Dev? Not
sure.
people in general, but like what? Yeah,
with
what
Republican politicians? Yeah, no, I can be specific. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you have Republican politicians, especially ones that are currently working in the executive branch, who have helped Trump violate any of the laws and norms that he has violated, either in the first term or the second. All of those people should absolutely be charged to the maximum extent of the law, and then they should be punished to the maximum extent of the law.
Why not line them up against the wall? There's no limits, right? Why bother with the trial?
Well, because the trial is how you figure out if they did it or not.
Well, who cares?
No, you still have to be accurate.
Why?
Listen,
why? Why are you so? Why?
Well, if all of the right are bad and evil, MAGA Republicans bad, evil, then yeah, why? Why not? Just line up against the wall.
Are you so squeamish now, brother? You haven't.
Yeah, I'm not squeamish. I'm not. No. Listen, I'm not squeamish at all. If you show me a guilty member of Trump's cabinet, absolutely throw the book at him. I want everything to happen to that guy.
John Eastman. John Eastman got disbarred for the Eastman memos and his role in 2020. So John Eastman goes up against the wall and gets shot, right?
He's a traitor. He should be absolutely charged for his crimes. And then whatever the jury comes up with, whatever the judge comes up with, I am okay with.
But what if it's okay? So you're not okay with so there are more limits. It has to be legal.
Well, of course, yes. That's why I asked you about legality at the start.
Yeah, but so here's the problem with legality as a metric when you're talking about constitutional issues of this magnitude.
Thank you very much, Paul Glaystein, for gifting one Cool Vic membership. Remember, with the memberships, you get access to all the past live streams and some pretty awesome custom emojis. Thank you very much, Paul, and congrats to Eric the Draco. Congrats, brother. You're now part of the Coolverse. By the way, if you guys are enjoying, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're enjoying so far, and maybe send some super chats if you're really enjoying.
If John Eastman's plan had been successful, it would have been legal.
No, I understand that, yes.
Laws, in fact, almost all tyranny is legal because tyrants control what the law is.
Of course, I know.
So when people get hung up on this idea of court packing is legal, that's not the question. Of course it's legal, but tyrannical things almost always are legal. So it can't be the case that you're hung up on legality now, right, brother?
I completely understand. So just so you know what I'm saying here. Do you recall, it might have been 6 months or 9 months ago, I forget exactly when, but there was the whole scandal with the seditious six. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the ones who gave the who said the stuff about the military. Yeah, I recall.
Well, it wasn't about the military. It was them saying that soldiers have an obligation to disobey illegal orders, which, by the way, they do. And that was
it was a shitty thing to say. We can get into it if you want, but if you want my position, do you want my position on that?
Well, I
Thank you very much, Far From Pukin, for gifting one Cool Vic membership, and congrats to Adulting in Chaos. You're not part of the Coolverse, brother. Thank you very much. Far from puking.
No,
First, I want him to get where he's going with it,
Okay.
and then we can talk about it.
Yeah. So basically, Trump came out on Truth Social and said treason punishable by death. And then you had a whole bunch of right-wingers running around saying, oh, well, what Trump actually means is he wants them to be, charged in a court of law and then found guilty and then sentenced to death legally. So, the Republicans have, again, already gone down this rhetorical road. I'm simply doing the same thing.
Well, what did I do when he did that?
I don't know. You tell me.
I went on my show with Rob Knorr, which we host, where we do law and political analysis. I talked about the fact this is not a crime punishable by death. It is not treason. It's a really thing to say for reasons we can get into, because it's putting soldiers' careers and livelihoods and freedom at risk for a political gain, which is up. But I said, by the way, Trump was 100% wrong to say what he said. Shouldn't have said it. That his flair for that kind of destabilizing hyperbolic rhetoric is condemnable, and I hate it. Right. So and by the way, Rob Knorr, partisan populist Rob Knorr, agreed with me. Because there are limiting principles in place, even in the right, even today. And I guess my problem with the tack you're taking today, you seem to be backing away from it, is that you took a maximalist first you said no limiting principles. Now that it has to be legal, it has to be only the Republicans, it has to be after a trial. So you've added a bunch of limiting principles. So you clearly are backing away from the idea that there's no limiting principles, right?
No, because I still expect those trials to come up with guilty verdicts. Yes.
Okay. What if it doesn't work? What if they're not guilty?
Then we line them up against the wall and we shoot them. Bada bing, bada boom. Blasterbot, thank you very much for the big 20. Used to watch Dev after January 6th. He went full TDS, but wasn't completely gone. After Butler, Pennsylvania, he realized Trump was going to win again and went digging after the firefighters' tweets to say he deserved it. He is disgusting. Yeah, he does seem pretty disgusting. And like I said, coincidence? He's a part of the Destiny community? I think not. There's something going on over there. You got the school, the potential school shooters in the Discord. You got people like Dev, Whick over here. What is going on over there?
I actually do still have faith in the justice system, such that all those who are guilty, like, for example, Trump himself, will be found guilty.
And
all those who aren't won't be.
Okay, so then if your position, then I would take it that.
Do we try him before or after we pack the courts?
After, obviously.
Well, and this is, by the way, when I get to.
Well, hold on. Let's go back to what you were saying before, though, because I don't want to get off of it. Okay?
I think Whick made an important point that's worth following up on. That's what I was saying about tyranny being legal, right? You can, if you, for example, if the Republicans packed the court with, I'm going to do an extreme hyperbolic example right now, but if they broke the filibuster and packed the court with 300 of the most partisan right-wing pundits you could imagine, right? Not even lawyers, just pundits. And they just put 300 of them on the court. And then they said, you know what? Every Democrat we're going to charge with treason because they violated the First Amendment. And we don't care someone says, that's not what the First Amendment means. And they go, it, let's ask the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court says, yeah, it turns out that's what it means. If you pack the court, you can vitiate the concept of rule of law. It's a backdoor to destroying the entire concept of there being rule of law.
But just real quick, hold on, just real quick on that. Ryan, they're already doing that. They did it with the seditious six. They've done it with Comey. They've done it with basically anyone who is prominent enough that catches Trump's eye, that has gone against him. They are taking them, putting them in front of a court if they can, bringing charges against them, and trying to go to the most partisan judges they can find in order to get it to stick. It's not working, but they're trying that right now. They're doing it.
And are they packing the court to ensure that it will work?
They don't need to.
Yes, they do, because they're not getting convictions.
Yeah, you just said right now it's not working. Freaking moderator Whick, by the way, worst. This dude's supposed to be the moderator. He's getting involved. By the way, Ryan, did you know they're already trying to do that? It's not working, but they're trying. By the way, are you into kitty play? Jason Malgren, thank you very much for the $5. we have all our new justices legislate from the bench so we can find them guilty. Yeah, that's pretty much what they would do. Thank you very much, Jason Mulgren.
Like, Wick, if you packed the court, you don't think that you could get a conviction of Comey? If you were willing, if you're willing to break the filibuster and pack the court?
Like this is I'll say the same thing I did to Dev. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're anywhere near yet. I think that I trust in the judicial system to at least mostly go by the law.
I agree with you, Wick. I don't think we're there yet. But the reason that I keep talking about court packing is an existential threat, which I think, by the way, Wick, you agree with me on, is that in this era, we have learned, this was not the case historically, but we have learned that through the nomination process and by appointing the right kind of justices for the work, you can amend the Constitution from the bench. And if you can amend the Constitution from the bench, you can control the entirety of the legal system through a 51-49 majority in the Senate. That's all it takes. It just takes the slimmest majority, and you bypass the entire amendment process. You can do violence to the Constitution that you would need a supermajority in both houses and the ratification of the states to accomplish. And you just do it from the bench. It's a loophole in the Constitution that is dangerous and needs to be closed. What we actually need is an amendment to fix the number of justices. We're not going to get it, but that's what we need, because this is too dangerous a tool to be lying around.
I agree. Fix it to 13.
Okay, so then Trump gets 2.4?
No, in 2029.
if the Republicans
no, let's wait until the Democrats are potentially elected. Oh, then we could pack it to 13. Yeah, okay.
When the Republicans get to a 0.4?
As soon as Democrats win, they should do it.
Yeah, okay. So,
you said earlier that you ultimately do want your side to win, and I want my side to win. And
yeah,
the reason
you're getting quieter. Can you get up to the mic a little bit better?
Hello, something? How does this sound?
They're better. Okay. You were just talking like that.
Yeah. Sorry. But no, like I do want the Democrats to win, because the Democrats are just morally superior to the Republicans. You know, it isn't like legality is important.
How is that? Just how does one get to this point where you say, yes, the Democrats are more morally superior than the Republicans by what metric is he using?
Important, but it's not all just legality. There is an underlying moral truth, which when you mentioned it before, yes, that absolutely is true. But you keep saying it's tyrannical. No. What the Republicans are doing is tyrannical. The tyranny is inside the White House. All right, the tyranny is in the Republican Party. The only mechanism even capable of slowing down tyranny right now is the Democratic Party. Which is why, by the way, even though like my politics are more in line with someone like a counterpoints than it is than someone who's actually progressive. I'm not a progressive at all, but I see the Republicans for
I'm a registered Democrat.
Demons that they are.
So it's very funny. I kind of wonder how Wick's channel is reacting to this, because I'm not normally their favorite person, but this would be interesting to see later on. To
be clear, DGG is in my chat right now. I got rated by Destiny, so.
Oh, okay. Then I do know how it's going.
I mean, aren't they always in his chat? Aren't they all like the DGG community?
DGG, good to see you. Fuck off. So, Dev, the problem.
Can you respond to his point though? Like,
well, his point being that Republicans
being like, is it tyranny if you are
tyranny?
Tyranny.
Yeah. Finally, someone corrected him. He's been saying that all night. Tyranny. Do you like my tyranny? What about the tyranny? Finally, someone corrected him. It's tyranny.
Tyranny. Is it tyranny? Sorry. Is it tyranny if you're stopping a tyranny?
He keeps saying it, but he hasn't actually pointed to anything that the Republicans are currently doing that's tyrannical. He just keeps saying that. I've asked you about specific policies that I found to be tyrannical, which, by the way, I hope are not the Democratic mainstream. I hope they're not. I called PISCO to account for it. I'm calling you to account for it, but I don't take it to be the case that this is the universal view of Democrats. Thank God. I hope I'm proven right about that. But what is it that Trump is currently doing that you find so tyrannical that it would justify what you're proposing?
Well, like I said, I already talked about all the corruption, and there's been ridiculous amounts of corruption, but you don't accept that. So I understand. I think it's absolutely tyrannical for Trump to say go after comedians that make fun of him, either in a direct or indirect way. I think it's absolutely tyrannical when Trump decided to go after lawyers and law firms who helped work on the J6 cases.
Who is he talking about? Comedians? He's talking about Jimmy Kimmel? You mean the man who still has a show? The man who's still on the air? What are you talking about?
Against him. That's ridiculous.
Mhm.
I think it's completely for Trump to say go after comedians that make fun of him, either in a direct or indirect way. I think it's absolutely tyrannical when Trump decided to go after lawyers and law firms who helped work on the J6 cases against him. That's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's complete.
I mean, why not? That was
I think the whole seditious six stuff was completely tyrannical. I think the attempt to do the auto pen thing, which by the way completely failed in court. That was like all of these attempts, even though they're not working, the fact that the president would have the gall to attempt these are all moves toward tyranny. So but if you still support Trump as he does all these things, you are supporting a tyrant.
Okay, but
well, huh? But what about the Democrats going after Trump for everything, trumping up charges? Now he's a 34 count felon, you know. And then the sexual abuse case, the freaking all kinds of shit. Like they try to go after him for a ton of shit. And then the rhetoric they've been spewing about him has like inspired many assassinations attempts. Like, and then the Democrats are tyrannical. They locked us down, right? They locked us down. They wanted us to get vaccines, right? They try to censor free speech, right? They try to censor speech via social media indirectly. They found a loophole. Like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to go to these social media companies, tell them to censor certain stories that's fake news. And bada bing, bada boom. Like, they're definitely more tyrannical. We're going to shame people who don't call men women and women men.
now you're talking about things that, by the way, some of them I agree with you were things that I've criticized Trump for fairly heavily. But you're talking about things that are within the realm of policy disagreement. Like I thought,
it's legal, right? Yes.
Well, no.
That's why I started it.
And thank you very much, Gavin Free, for the $5. They should have had buy-in on. They should have had buy-in on this panel. He would have whooped his mushroom gobbler's butthole. Yeah, thank you very much, Gavin.
With this, yes.
No. Like
I understand.
I thought Biden's COVID policies were, quote unquote, authoritarian or executive overreach, whatever term you want to use. I thought his free speech policies were awful. I think Trump's are also awful, by the way. I thought his student loan. Finish and you can ask the question.
What
I
policies?
thought his student loan forgiveness was wild executive overreach. But like these are things that are the basis for political and policy disagreement, not radical overthrow of the government, which is what you were suggesting earlier.
I disagree. I think that the things that Trump is touching upon are in fact leading into the realm of tyranny in a way that Biden stuff simply didn't. There is no COVID emergency to justify what Trump is doing versus what Biden did. And I honestly don't know where you're getting the Biden free speech thing.
Because
I honestly don't know. Man, they're such gaslighters. And so it's okay that they try to lock us down because of COVID. Well, then by that logic, then, I mean, was Trump, because they always bring up, well, Trump initiated the lockdowns, which is true. So was he being tyrannical there, or was that like, okay, was that a good thing or what? Because they never bring that up. That was a good thing. They never bring that up at all. They usually bring it up when we try to say, well, the Democrats locked us down. They'd be like, well, was it Donald Trump the one that initiated it? But they never give him credit. But as long as there's some sort of life-threatening disease out there, it's okay to lock everybody down against their will, force them to take vaccines. And by the way, censor people online who try to give out different remedies, different solutions. Even doctors that came out and said, hey, it's not that bad. As long as you do this, you should be fine. They like slandered those doctors as like they don't know what they're talking about. They're no Dr. Fauci. It was insane.
Like
because
what was that?
in berserk,
That's a whole other debate.
That's a whole other debate if we want to go down that road.
Give me the 30-second version of it.
Sure. He created, it was shortly just after disbanded, but he created a board to police quote unquote misinformation on the internet. He was accused in the case Missouri v. Biden of sweeping censorship of largely conservatives, which was then, though that case was ultimately dismissed on procedural grounds by the Supreme Court, was verified by the testimony of the CEO of Google and also of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, that in fact there was political pressure to censor conservatives. And I think that it is quite damaging to have mass censorship of people online. And in particular, by the way, if we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel, I find that concerning. By the way, I did not support the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, but the nice thing, at least with the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, is that it was done in the open to a celebrity who can afford a lawyer and knows what's happening. When small independent people get censored and they don't know why and they don't know how and they don't have the resources to do anything about it, it is actually much more dangerous from a jawboning perspective because they don't know how to fight back and have no opportunity to. So yeah, I think there was a lot of problems with Biden on free speech. But if you want to say that Trump's bad on free speech, by the way, I'll just concede that because I also think Trump's terrible on free speech. But this is a question of policy.
I don't understand that though. Like Trump's terrible on free speech. Like, I mean, he's not perfect, but I wouldn't say he's terrible. The only thing that Trump has done wrong when it comes to free speech is the trying to censor anti-Semitism. Like, that's the only thing that I found that was like, okay, that's kind of we can't be doing that. But other than that, to say he's terrible about free speech, I would like to know other examples of what he thinks Trump has done that's terrible for free speach.
Like, these are bad policies that I oppose. That's not like the rivers run red with blood, there will be no more elections tyrant. When we're talking tyranny, we're talking about the democratic system no longer is functional. You no longer have the ability to solve the problem with your vote. That's what we're talking about, not a difference in policy.
Maybe I'm just more of a libertarian than you because, like I said, I hung out in libertarian spaces for like 10 years, and I recall libertarians being very strict on the First Amendment. It's like, no, you violate this, it is revolution time. And I agreed with them for a very long time. And you know what? On some level, I still do. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know about the Missouri versus Biden case. I don't know about that.
It's a deep rabbit hole.
I do, but it's a look. While
that's
me and
that's
Ryan
a whole
agree
show.
on court packing, me and Ryan strongly disagree on this. So
yeah,
we can move it to another day. Yeah.
Well, just real quick, because I do know about what you're talking about when it comes to this Information Governance Board, and you do know that was not actually censorship, right?
Why not?
Because it had no power to enforce anything.
What was it going to do?
So even though it never actually got up and running, it existed for maybe 4 months and then it was shut down. The Disinformation Governance Board basically existed so that people in the executive branch could monitor social media specifically to pick out propaganda being pushed by enemies of America. So we're talking Russia, China, Iran, these sorts of places. And then take that information and give it to law enforcement so it could be investigated as possible foreign interference. That's not the same thing as censoring American citizens.
So
now, did you bring this one up because you thought I didn't know about it? I did a deep dive into this on my channel.
I just don't think you know what jawboning is. But the point here is, and the reason, for example, like with Jimmy Kimmel, was there any actual governmental action taken that forced Jimmy Kimmel off the air? Was he directly censored by the government?
Okay. Hold on.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
No, I completely get it. You're doing the turbulent priest idea, right?
I don't know I don't know who that is. The point.
Won't someone rid me of this turbulent priest? It's a quote.
The turbulent priest phenomenon is when a leader does not directly order his followers to do an action because it might be like politically damaging to them. So they give a hint and they allow the followers to fill in the gaps and then do the thing for them.
Yeah.
Wick's like, you're giving away the lefty game plan here. You got to shut up, Dev.
So the issue with what you were describing is that if you start saying that certain political speech is mis or disinformation such that we're going to report it to the police, you are going to end up having a chilling effect on the political speech through those police actions, similar to, the argument that Jimmy Kimmel was jawboned because the FCC made comments about what he said publicly. They never actually took any direct action, but that the threat of that would cause Jimmy Kimmel to be censored by his own company. So just because the federal government itself is not censoring directly doesn't mean it's not censorship.
You like Jimmy Dore, cool, Vic? He's okay. I don't really watch him often, but the few times I have, he was cool.
So the issue, though, is that the Disinformation Governance Board was specifically looking for overseas sources on social media. They weren't looking into Americans. Do you see there's a difference here? Like here, if you understand that America has foreign enemies that are powerful, which it does, and that these enemies are going to utilize social media to destabilize America from within using propaganda, which they do, what entity should be in charge of policing that or trying to stop that? Obviously, the federal government.
Well, no offense, but being Canadian, I would expect that would be the sort of response that you would have. Yeah, the Canadian libertarian.
Who then? Who? If not the federal government of the United States, then who?
I think we've actually stumbled upon some good solutions on the private sector on this one so far. Like one of my favorite days on X. I don't know if you like this one, when they gave you the option to reveal the location of a poster. That was the best week. That was so much fun. I think.
I agree. I did a video on it, so it was really fun.
It was really fun, but I think
stopped being useful about a week in because of VPNs.
Yeah, and I think what we need to start doing is coming up with better market solutions to these problems, because they can be found and they do exist. The problem with what you're suggesting is the same problem that like all censorship has, which is that the tool is inevitably used for the evil purpose, no matter how it's phrased. And it's always for your own good, and it always ends up being used in exactly the way that you think it's going to be used, which is why it got shut down, because nobody wants the government to have that kind of power.
I don't think that's actually why it got shut down, but nonetheless, when it comes to security issues, no, you don't leave that to the free market. This is one of the ways in which I disagree with libertarians. The free market solving everything is just like ANCAP brain rot. No, there are some things that the government actually has to do. And not because, government's inefficient. I get it. Taxation sucks. I get it. When it comes to security, the government has to do it.
So, to be clear, your position is that
just reminding everyone, we are far and away from court packing. But
gosh, shut up, Whick. Shut up, Whick.
Discussion.
Yeah, and I'll try to rein it in. But to be clear, your position is that it would be a moral good for the government.
And it's always when Ryan's talking, he decides to chime in with those things. We're getting away from court packing, ladies and gentlemen. It's never when Dev's talking. It's crazy how that works. Just shut up, Whick. Just shut the fuck up.
To police the internet in order to limit what people can say to each other about politics, for example.
No. And I can't believe that's what you came away with.
What part of that is inaccurate?
I'll tell you exactly. It is a moral good for the government to not police the internet, but watch the internet to notice if there is foreign propaganda currently being propagated in, let's say, American or Western or Anglo spaces.
Okay. I mean, it's funny because the answer is definitionally yes. And then what would they do with that information?
No. The answer is very different. It's very different.
So what would they do with that information?
No. Okay. Ryan, it is bad to censor Americans having open and honest debate in good faith about politics. It is good to censor foreign actors who are trying to psyop and destabilize America.
Okay, so Dev,
do you understand
what would they do with the information?
Do you understand these are two different
Yes,
things?
But I think you don't understand how this would play out. So what would they do with the information?
Then they would have to hand it over to the actual actionable parts.
Yeah, he reminds me of a Goblin 2 Whick, or like an Igor type of character. Like, yes, master.
The federal government, so we're talking like it'd be CIA CIA is foreign, right? Probably CIA.
CIA is foreign.
Yeah. And then they'd have I don't actually know how.
Let me ask you a more targeted question.
Let me finish. I don't actually know how intelligence works, but there are absolutely things that the intelligence
There's some
community
jokes there.
could do with that information.
Like let's say they uncover.
I'm gonna skip ahead to where Destiny comes on, and then it might be hard to keep track because Destiny and Whick sound exactly alike, so you might have a hard time keeping track. Like, wait, who's talking right now? Wait, did Destiny say that? Did Whick say that?
Supreme Court pick if they don't control the Senate.
In our current political environment, I don't think you're going to get a Senate nomination if you don't control the Senate in your first day. I don't think you're getting a Supreme Court nomination through. I think that norm's gone. I think that sucks, by the way, which is why when I was asked about it on Whick's show years ago, I said I thought that sucks. I thought it sucked the Republicans did that. But that the norm.
Can you explain to me how? Can you explain to me? I don't care about the virtue signaling. Can you explain to me how it's not more like when you invented this meaningless phrase and called it like an institutional pillar or something that you couldn't pack the court,
a load bearing norm,
which is totally which doesn't make any sense because it's I don't know how that's load bearing and not in the Constitution. It could be.
What happened? Need a few minutes before Destiny to see how on the ropes Dev was when Destiny says him. All right. We'll go like maybe 2 or 3 minutes before
them in my home state of Ohio. That's just one recent example.
Here I'm going to have to quote my esteemed colleague Rob Knorr, as the left has reminded us for 10 years, the bar for opening an investigation is very, very low, which is true. So I'm sure they cleared the very, very low bar for lawful opening of an investigation.
Okay, give me 1 second. We both okay if Destiny jumps in?
We're both okay. Destiny jumps in. Holy shit!
It's the question whether Trump would pack it or whether the Republicans would, because the Republicans can't break the filibuster. They keep trying, they can't do it, so they're not going to pack the court. They don't have the numbers. If the question is, would Trump like to pack the court?
Man, so it just Whick just coming in to defend Dev now. Do I have to go back further?
We'd agree on a lot of stuff because, like I said,
but this is kind of like the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah. Like I hate the woke shit in video games. I hate the culture war nonsense. All that. I hate so much of the lefty cultural nonsense. But man, when it comes to real politics, the right is just a cancer that deserves as much chemo as we can give it.
Well, so here's the weird thing for me.
You guys keep saying, "Well, I got to make a little money,"
yeah,
and then you keep yapping.
Whick,
I don't make money.
Whick, you say that, but we're redistributing the wealth. It is what it is.
I'm sure you are. No, it's been a good.
Look,
it's been a conversation.
Yeah,
show me the money.
I guess I'll
last thing, and then I do. There's a lot of them.
I never understood wedge issue voters because I never was one previously, and now I am one because I'm finally in a position where I was like, oh, Supreme Court packing is so bad that when I talk to like Rob, for example, and Rob's super against the conflict in Iran, and I'm very pro the conflict in Iran, I would take a fat L on that to avoid court packing every day of the week. I'm against political prosecutions. Rob's pro political prosecutions. I would take a fat L on that every day of the week to avoid court packing. I've never been a wedge issue voter before. It's interesting. I never.
All right. Well, we'll get back to where Destiny comes on. But before we get to that, thank you very much, BB the Aussie, for the Australian $10 dues for the Tomato and Potato Fund. Tommy needs a helmet too, or Timmy needs a helmet too. Thank you very much, BB. I appreciate it. It's crazy. I have a pretty solid following over there from Australia. Never would have thought it. Never would have thought people from the land down under would like watching me, huh?
When I was asked about it on Whick's show years ago, I said I thought that sucks. I thought it sucked the Republicans did that. But
Can you explain to me how? Can you explain to me? I don't care about the virtue signaling. Can you explain to me how it's not more like when you invented this meaning?
If I wanted to listen to Destiny, I could have just listened to Whick, but just sped up the speed.
This phrase and called it like an institutional pillar or something that you couldn't pack the court,
a load bearing norm,
which is totally which doesn't make any sense because it's I don't know how that's load bearing and not in the Constitution. It could be changed via legislation. How is it not a load bearing norm that the President of the United States shall appoint or nominate Supreme Court justices and then with the advice and consent of the Senate have them appointed as a Supreme Court justice? How is that not way more important than just choosing more justices? That seems like a way more load bearing norm than just having 14 justices.
I'm confused. Why would that be more load bearing?
Because the president explicitly in the Constitution has the right to have a Supreme Court justice nominated, heard by the Senate, and then confirmed to the Supreme Court. It's like
no, he has the right to nominate, and the Senate has the right to advise and consent or withhold consent. He only has the right to nominate.
So you think it's perfectly fine if the Senate for 4 years doesn't?
I thought it was a norms violation, which I just said, but it's perfectly
just a norm violation.
It's perfectly.
Okay.
If you're asking,
this is the reason why I don't know if Dev backed off on it all, but this is why you can't treat these people seriously. Why there are no laws or whatever else that matters, the legal process, or whatever. For you to say that the president of the United States can just from taken. No. The obvious answer is that the Senate shall hold votes on Supreme Court nominees from the president of the United States. That's obviously true. For you to just hand wave all of that away and say, well, it's just a norm violation if for 4 years they decide not to do that, means your opinion is just deeply unserious.
Okay. Yeah, it's like they all, I don't know what it is, but they all sound like Destiny. Whick sounds like Destiny. Not So Erudite sounds like Destiny. Like, what's going on over there too? Not only they're all unhinged, but they all sound like Destiny.
Doesn't matter. And it's why opinions like yours should be completely discarded when it comes to figuring out like what are the load-bearing norms, the load-bearing aspects of our systems.
Was it legal?
Freaking is completely.
Was it legal?
Was what legal?
What Mitch McConnell did, was it legal?
Sure.
Okay. So since it was,
would it be legal to pass? Would it be legal to pass? Wait.
You've been on a fucking tirade. Let me finish my line of questioning.
Let me ask you one.
No,
would it be legal to pass legislation to pack the court?
If you're going to fucking blacklist me and stalk me,
can you just answer that question?
He said yes to that like 2 hours ago.
He said yes.
You know, it's like he really is a gremlin, like Coomer Gremlin. And, you know, it's like in the movie Gremlins, and they all spawn off of the gremlin, and all these other gremlins are created. That's like what's going on over there. You know, it's like, remember they even had the girl gremlin. That's Not So Erudite.
All of you.
So this is
one at a time.
This is Desmond's thing where he crashes the show and then won't answer the
question. I just told you to shut up. I told everyone to shut up. Everyone's got to shut up. We can't do this if you're all going to talk over each other.
Which one of us is talking?
Quickly, concisely, then let Brian go.
I just asked if it's legal to pass legislation to pack the court.
Yeah, so it is. So if it is not illegal, then what Mitch McConnell did, if we're saying it bad, is it's bad because it's a norm violation, right?
I don't agree. I think it's bad because you're contradicting like one of the express powers of the presidency is the right to have a Supreme Court justice appointed.
But he doesn't have that right. If he had that right, it would be illegal.
No.
So it's not a norm violation. What's the point you're making? No, I said it was a norm violation. You said because I called it a norm violation, I can't be trusted. Now you're caught in this position where you have to admit it is a norm violation. That's the whole point. Everyone agrees it's a norm violation. I agree on that. Josiah agrees on that. Pisco agrees on that. Dev agrees on that.
I don't care what any of them
agree on that.
Not a norm violation for the Congress. It's not a norm violation for the Congress to seize from the president the ability to have a Supreme Court nominee's
brother. I said it.
Just hold on, just so I can
norm violation. It contradicts.
Destiny. Do you think it was unconstitutional?
I would say yes, or at the very least, it absolutely violates the spirit of the Constitution. Yes.
Communicated. Now we're on.
Okay. So since I asked you earlier, was it illegal, and you said no? How do you square it being illegal? Answer no. Unconstitutional? Answer yes. Which one is it?
Because legality and constitutionality aren't necessarily always at play with one another.
You think that if something violates the Constitution, that it might be legal?
Yes, of course. How do you think Supreme Court cases ultimately decide that a law is unconstitutional? It's because a law is passed at some point that is the law, and then eventually, maybe the Supreme Court hears it and it becomes unconstitutional. And then, or because they rule it unconstitutional, it becomes not the law anymore. They have to get rid of the law. So there are laws that can be in place. Well, but it is the law. Why are you laughing like you think you're cooking? Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, that's what I say, Destiny. How come these people are always laughing at us? Right? Do you need your own book, Destiny? Why are you laughing? The Destiny story could go alongside mine. Why are you laughing? The Brian Shapiro story.
You're telling me. No, I don't. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not caught in any trap. You can keep saying that. Hold on. So let me hear you say this. Every single law that's passed, every single law that's passed is constitutional?
No.
Oh, so then there might be laws that are in effect that are unconstitutional, right? So a thing could be legal, but unconstitutional because the Supreme Court hasn't heard it yet, right?
Well, if it hasn't been ruled unconstitutional, Destiny, that's different. But when it is ruled unconstitutional, it is now illegal, because anything that is unconstitutional is illegal. That's what unconstitutional
Once, if the
means.
Supreme Court has heard it and overturned it, yes. But we can conceive of things that are both unconstitutional and legal, or things that are illegal and constitutional. It can happen, yes.
In the best possible faith, I'm going to try to apply that to what you're saying. You're saying that you thought it was unconstitutional but legal, and you said that's because of the Supreme Court hasn't ruled on it yet. So you think that if the Supreme Court were to hear a case about what Merrick Garland did, they would rule it unconstitutional?
I don't know. I'd have to look into. I don't even know what the standing could be for that case to be brought. But I don't believe that it is within the power of the Senate, when you understand the composition of our government, for the Senate to decide, no, actually, the president is not going to have a Supreme Court appointment. We're not going to allow that to happen ever.
Okay.
Do you think it would be?
Can you point me to the text in the Constitution that you think makes it unconstitutional for Mitch McConnell to do what he did, since you're making that claim?
The whatever part says that the president shall nominate a Supreme Court appointee or whatever, and then with the advice and consent of the Senate.
He says, okay, I'll read it to you. He says, he shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors and other public ministers, counsels, judges with the Supreme Court. So
yes,
you think that the Senate is obligated to give him consent?
Do you think that this reads that the Senate can indefinitely withhold consent? I would say yes. I would say yes to my answer. Would you say yes to yours? Read this? Okay. Well, we just fundamentally agree. So in your world, it would be totally okay if they have not stopped.
No,
it would be totally okay if for 30 years the Senate just never allowed the president to have another nomination.
It would be, as I said very early on, it would be constitutional and a norm violation. That was the position I took at the very beginning that you said made me untrustworthy.
What is a norm? What is a norm?
Trustworthy?
Well, prior to what Mitch McConnell did, there was a norm that you wouldn't hold up a vote and
not this norm. I'm asking in general. What is a norm to you? What does that mean? A norm?
A political practice that both sides. I'm trying to come up with a definition on the fly, by the way, so I apologize if it's not totally glib. A political practice that both sides have abided by, which is not required by law.
Okay, I would say that the Senate is required constitutionally to allow the president of the United States to appoint Supreme Court justices. That has to happen. It's the function of our government. It is the check on where Supreme Court justices come from. That can't be optional. That can't just be a norm. That's crazy. Well,
okay. There's never been and there never will be a Supreme Court case ruling that for a variety of reasons, but you can take my word for it or look it up. You don't trust my legal judgment much, but I can guarantee you there is no such case and there never will be such case. But they says that he shall nominate and by and with the advice consent of the Senate shall appoint.
Yes.
So
correct.
The Senate
that doesn't say that they're allowed to never give advice or consent, right?
The Senate did not consent.
No. What do you mean? Who didn't consent?
The Senate did not consent.
No, what do you mean? It wasn't heard. It wasn't heard.
They don't have to vote no.
No, they didn't vote no. They didn't vote.
So what?
I can't. All right, I tried. Anyway, I just want to make that clear to the audience. These are not serious.
Honestly, so what?
You can read that.
Do you think
they didn't vote? They didn't even call it for a vote.
Do you think that's the first time in history that someone let an appointment lapse without voting on it?
No, it's the longest absence in the Supreme Court, where it was done for reasons that were expressly partisan, that were expressly not constitutional, not understood to be part of how the government shall work.
Well, Destiny, what you're describing sounds an awful lot like a norm violation because we're
not talking about norms. Where do Supreme Court justices come from?
Because previous Senates have let judicial appointments lapse without voting on them so that they could let their guy, when he took office, get the nomination. This has happened before. The norm violation was how long it was,
the norm violation is a Supreme Court justice.
I want to hear from Deb. Just hop in here. So another part of the video that you didn't watch, Ryan, is that I decided to go back through every single presidency from now until Nixon, and I decided to count up how many appointees were lapsed because the Senate did not vote on them. Because it's not just the Supreme Court; it's also other justices, other functions in the executive branch, and there's been an escalating tit for tat of of these appointments not being fulfilled and just not being voted on at all, whether it's yes or no. Since Nixon, the Republicans started the tit for tat. It's gone up every single presidency, pretty much.
Mhm.
It went down a little bit under Clinton, but it's largely gone up every single presidency. And the first time it was ever done with SCOTUS, where they refused to vote on a SCOTUS pick, that was Mitch McConnell. That was a new norm that was violated.
No, that's not true. You just didn't start your history early enough.
What?
Okay, yes, I went back to Nixon. Yes, it could have been
What?
someone much earlier than Nixon. Okay.
What
I can
what is
see
the
that.
comparable thing to McConnell?
Well, I didn't. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I screwed up my video. 1 second, guys. Apologies. That's my
He's
bad.
Googling the answer.
No,
He's Googling- okay. Sorry.
I did.
But,
I didn't say it was. I am looking at my notes, but I did. I didn't.
Right now, Wick is making a joke that he's cheating on his. He's looking at his notes. He's cheating or Googling it. Meanwhile, he is debate packing, if you will, debate packing against Ryan.
Didn't say it was comparable. What I said was it has happened before, and it has. When I did the count for preparation for the modern day debate event, I counted 5 times a Supreme Court justice has lapsed without being voted on. Now, I will grant you they were much shorter periods of time than Merrick Garland. So the norm violation was that.
Which presidents, by the way?
yeah, out of
I-
curiosity, two
was-
questions out of curiosity because I don't know the answer. When we talk about much shorter, like what was the amount of time? We're talking a month, a year?
It's substantially shorter. Like it would be like
It was like 10 months
it'd be like a couple months
1 month.
for those. Though the compounding factor is that in most of those cases, the president withdrew the nomination and then put somebody else up. So like if you summed up the total of all the
Wait,
people,
so that doesn't even count then? Why would you even bring that up as an example?
because the last one lapsed. There's a
Who
series.
was the last?
Hold on, I do have to get my
Obama?
notes because I don't remember. No, I'm talking about like in the 1850s or something. It's like I think it's President Fillmore.
Near the Civil
Pre-antebellum
War?
SCOTUS, or not SCOTUS. Pre-antebellum America, or pre-Civil War America, I should say. Are we counting that? Like I don't know. The Civil War fundamentally changed the country in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. I want to see if I could get to where like Destiny rage quits.
Escalatory cycle.
I don't think the cycle stops at that point. I think that once you're in it, you're in it. And
We'll engage with the hypothetical.
So Republicans can never stop it. Only Democrats can. Republicans get to infinitely
No.
escalate, and then Democrats are the ones that have to stop
This particular
it.
norm hasn't been violated yet. It once it gets violated, it's very, very hard to stop these cycles. It just is. I've been openly arguing that the Republicans should stop doing political prosecutions. It's very, very hard to convince anybody on the right to stop doing them because there's a cycle.
Just if I may, it's because the things that
Well, how come we can't convince the Democrats? It's so crazy that one side is just so that there's no getting through to them. Like there's no talking to this side, so we got to convince the other side to stop it.
the right says that they care about, they actively don't. These are all post hoc rationalizations. They're going to do whatever they can, whatever they have the power to. And I'm not talking all Republicans, but the majority of MAGA right now. I want to be very clear with what I'm saying. Majority of MAGA right now, again, everything that you were worried about Pisco doing and called tyrannical, Trump is advocating for or trying to do, or you have admitted
But they
he probably would
have
do.
if they
And
had
the filibuster, pack the court, political prosecutions, all these things. The only limiting thing to Trump isn't principles. It's thankfully that we do have a constitution that is mostly intact. That's the limit now. It's not a principle.
The point
it's not a
that
principle thing. I'm right at all.
the point that I'm making, Wick, is that the terrible Republicans control the Senate and the House and the presidency. So if they had the will to do the terrible things that we are openly talking about the Democrats doing, they could just do them. They have all the power.
And the
right now.
Democrats,
Yeah.
and the
And
Democrats
just to
had
be
that
clear,
before.
this is-
And if
well,
the
hold on, yes.
terrible Democrats wanted to do
But
that, they
I'm
would have done it, but they
talking to
didn't.
people-
The argument works both ways.
No. As a clear civics thing,
I'm
as a-
talking to people.
Wick was now then morphing in more into Destiny. talking much faster, really making it hard to tell who was talking right there. I thought I was listening to two Destinies at one point.
Who are advocating for doing the tyrannical thing. That's the problem, Whick. I'm talking to people who are saying, yes, we should do the tyrannical thing. And I'm saying, no, you
it's
shouldn't.
not tyranny.
So when I
It's not
point to
tyranny.
when I point to the fact that the Republicans aren't doing that thing, what I'm saying is that whatever you might think of them, they actually, as a group, do seem to think the filibuster's worth preserving. They
Their
do
leader
seem
doesn't.
Hold on, wait. They don't care about the filibuster, and they would absolutely
Trump's going
break
to
the
be out of
filibuster.
office by the time any
No,
of this
they
happens.
would
Whick.
absolutely break the filibuster. The only reason why we're adhering to norms in whatever way we are is because Trump is too stupid to even utilize his Congress. That's why they don't want to break the filibuster. Trump is literally paralleling every part of the federal government in the White House. Trump wants to run every single thing out of the White House. Why would Republicans acquiesce to shattering the filibuster when Trump is too stupid to even champion legislation? He got his big tax cuts through. They can use budget reconciliation for funding the government.
Well,
and then that's it. There's no reason for them to really break the filibuster.
They could do the thing that you suggested the Democrats should do earlier. They break Texas into like 5 or 6 states. They recognize
Trump
a
is
bunch
too
of
stupid to
they,
bro.
they bunch
You're
of they
talking about-
recognize a bunch of
No,
islands
stop.
and states.
Bro, these
We
guys
lock-
can't
we-
even get
we
these
locked
guys
the
can't even
Democrats
get
out of power in the
indictments
Senate.
approved by the Supreme or by a grand jury. These guys are not going to be
So-
adding states to the United States of
So
America. Okay,
this is your moral high ground, Destiny. Your moral high. This is the moral high ground that you're landing on.
what the moral high ground is the salvation of our
Because
democracy.
I am
Right now, we have an undemocratic
advocating-
party
I
that
am
is defended by
advocating
illiberal people.
Let's be clear. I'm advocating for
Notice how once I slowed it down a little bit, Destiny sounded normal.
not breaking more norms. You're advocating for breaking more
less-
norms
less
because
than-
Republicans are bad and stupid.
No,
I'm not
they've already
sure
broken
what
the
moral
norms.
high ground you're
Every
on
norm
here.
has been broken. They
Not
break the
this one.
filibuster when they need
Not
to. They
this one.
broke.
I have not seen the filibuster stands, and I have not seen the Supreme Court change sides. These
How
norms
did
still exist.
did they have 60 or whatever when Gorsuch was confirmed?
Sorry, I mean, you're asking, are there targeted filibuster breaks? Yeah, there's been targeted
Oh my
filibuster
God!
breaks.
I can't. I'll lose my mind. I'm sorry. Good luck.
This is
Thanks for calling in.
this is what this is.
Let me
this is-
speed run
this is-
these. Let me
this is-
I know
no,
we got to go,
no,
and if you have to
no,
go, I understand. I
no,
understand.
no,
Gang, where can
no,
where can you find
This-
What is that sassy freaking stance Wick's doing right there? Where can they go find you, Ryan?
this is
Ryan,
what-
where
this
can
is
they
what
find
de-
you if they
this
wanna
is
find
what
Am I
de-
not asking my
Freaking staying alive, John Travolta over here. Freaking cover.
question?
This is what Destiny does.
Not that it matters
Understand,
anymore.
I
I
just
guess
wanna-
you kind
I- I
of
just wait, and I wanna give-
This
Yeah.
is what Destiny
Ask
does.
your-
Destiny
your question.
cyber stalks me from
wait,
behind
Ryan,
the
we
black.
can't hear
Cyber
you.
stocks.
You do it. Did you mute
Oh,
me?
you Ryan.
Okay.
Ri-
This is
No,
what
Ryan, we couldn't hear you at all. We
All
couldn't
right.
hear you at all.
This is what Destiny does. He cyber stalks me from behind the blacklist, makes the point that it is unconstitutional for the Senate to deny advice and consent, which no one in the universe who's a legal scholar or anyone thinks is true, gets caught on it, doubles back, claims that I'm wrong for calling a norm violation, and then tries to optics farm and leave the conversation, which is every conversation I have with this. Then from behind the blacklist, you'll be like, "Oh God, that guy's bad faith." That guy. So that's,
I did
that's
ask you
every
if you
conversation
wanted-
with Destiny.
Okay, I did ask you if it was okay before I brought him on. Just on that
Mhm.
on the record.
Hey, I let
Wick is the worst. I did ask you if it was okay if I brought him on. I did ask. Yeah, but it wasn't like what if Ryan would have said no, then would you have been like, oh, okay, then I won't bring him on. Like, no, you'd have been like, are you sure? Because Destiny really has something to say. Like, you would have eventually talked Ryan into it. Let's be clear here. It wasn't like asking like, well, if you would have said no, I would have honored it. But yeah, that good job there, Ryan, exposing, not only getting a Destiny rage quit, but exposing the left for what they are. Absolutely unhinged and violent, who sees the Republican Party and MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump as evil, morally bad, and they got to do whatever they got to do to stop us, no matter what the cost is. And it was revealed in this debate. I thought Ryan Mullally did a great job exposing them. They're just saying the quiet part out loud. We already knew that this is what they had in mind. But what do you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my channel too. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the cool stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel, and make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.